Alright, in this video what I want to do is go ahead and show you an example of how to create and solve a triangular prism. And when I say solve, I mean solve for the surface area of it. So let's go ahead and let me show you how to draw one first. So if we're going to draw a triangular prism, it's going to look something like this. I'm going to start out and draw me a right triangle, and just because those are real easy to deal with. And I'm going to go about midway and draw me another right triangle, roughly the same size. And remember, when you're doing your word problems, you're going to need to be drawing these pictures out to make sure that you get all the data labeled right. And what I'm going to do now is let me connect the top line. Then I'm going to connect this bottom line with corner to corner. And then I'm going to connect this bottom line corner to corner. So basically you're just connecting the vertices together. Alright, and there it is. Now we have a triangular prism. So we need to label it. We need to give it some sizes. So let's say that this side, for instance, is 3. And we'll say this one is 4. And then we'll say that this one right here is going to be 5. So there are my measurements, and we'll say it's in centimeters. So 3 centimeters, 5 centimeters, and 4 centimeters. And then we have to have the distance right here, and we'll say that's, let's call that 12 centimeters. So if we were to draw this out, I'm going to put a little right angle here and put a right angle in this one. We have 2 right triangles, and then we have 3 rectangles that go around to create this prism. So once we've got this done, our first step, if we were trying to solve this, and this was a problem that was given to us on, say, star, for instance, we'd want to find our bases. And the easy thing about these is that the bases are always a triangle. If you see a triangular prism, the triangles are your bases. It doesn't matter how they have this turned around, mismatched, tilted. The triangles are always will be your bases in a triangular prism. So step 1 is, let's shade those in. We're going to follow the same steps we use for the cylinder and the rectangular prism. So I'm going to shade my bases in. That way I know what I'm solving for, what formulas I use, and how I find the perimeter of it. So there's our bases, they're shaded in. And now we're going to find our 3 key items. The first thing, we want to find big B, the area of the base. Then we want to find P, which is the perimeter of the base. In other words, the distance if we were to travel all the way around it. And then we need to find H, which is the distance between the 2 bases. So for big B, we're going to use our formula for a triangle, which is 1/2 times the base of the triangle times the height of the triangle. And if I were to plug my numbers in for that, that would be, I'm going to call this my base, and I'm going to call this, or you know what, I should call that my height, up and down height, and I'll call this my base. Now, just like when we did Pythagorean theorem, it doesn't matter which one of these is the base or the height. As long as you use the legs of the triangle for your base and height, you get the right answer. The only one you can't use in there is your hypotenuse. So remember, to find the hypotenuse, you just draw an arrow from the corner of the right angle. That's your hypotenuse. So don't use that one in this formula. Just use your 2 legs. And it don't matter if you say 3 times 4 or 4 times 3. It's still going to come out the same. So let's go ahead and write this out. We got 1/2 times the base, which I'm calling the base 4, and times my height, which I'm calling my height 3. And that's what I'm going to put in my calculator when I'm solving for the area of the base. So now we just need the perimeter. And remember, the perimeter is side of the triangle plus the side plus the side. So a triangle, unlike the rectangular prism that had 4 sides, this triangle only has 3 sides. So it's going to be side plus side plus side. And if we were to write that, well, let's see, we have 3 plus 4 plus 5. So now we've got our P. The only thing we got left is we need H. So what is the distance between these 2 bases? And the distance is 12 centimeters. So there's 12. Now we have everything we need to work this out. And let's go ahead and do so. We're going to use our formula, which is P times H plus 2 times big B. So let's go ahead and plug in our value for P. So my P is 3 plus 4 plus 5. Now I know there's some of you who's looking at this going, well, I would just add those together and write one number. I can do that in my head. If you want to, you are more than welcome to add these up and just write a single number. However, I think it's just as easy to just write it out like this and then plug it all into the calculator to make sure that you don't make any mistakes. Now I'm going to go ahead and plug in my h, and my h is 12, and then we're going to add that to my coefficient of 2 times the area of the base. Well, the area of the base is 1/2 times 4 times 3. Now notice all I did was plug in my numbers. P, I said, okay, well, P is 3 plus 4 plus 5, so I'll plug that in for P, 3 plus 4 plus 5. My H is 12, just like my H is 12. And 2 times the area of the base. Well, why 2 times the area of the base? Well, we got 2 triangles. That's 2 bases, so we have to multiply it by 2. And the area of the base, right here, is 1/2 times 4 times 3. And that's what we got up here. We said big B is equal to 1/2 times 4 times 3. Make sure you write these 3 components before you plug it in. I want to see that in every problem you work out, because that'll make sure that you don't mix these up. Now that we got that done, let's plug all of this into our calculator. Okay, so since we're going to plug this into the calculator, we're first going to put in our P, and we said that was 3 plus 4 plus 5. Then we're going to put another set of parentheses because we want to multiply P to the H, which is the height, and our height is 12. And then we're going to add that to 2 times the area of the base. So that's 2 times. I'm going to put my fraction bar, which is control divide, 1/2. I'm going to go outside of it and put times my base, which is 4, times my height, which is 3. So now I've got this whole thing put in, and all I got to do is hit enter, and it'll tell me my answer. And it is 156, and it's a clean number, so we don't have to do any rounding. And let's go ahead and write that number down. So we say this is equal to 156, and it's centimeters, right? So it's centimeters squared, because whenever we're doing area, it's always in squared units. So let's box that, and that is my SA, or my total surface area, for this triangular prism.